And we are live. Hello everyone, welcome to part 6 of Sonadow play Ace Attorney Rise from the Ashes. Joining me as per usual is my lovely girlfriend IMShadow 007. Say hello, hon.
Hello.
And we're near the end game now. We're in the final trial phase of this case.
Yep.
But that's not to say we'll get it all done in one stream. Oh, hell no. It's a long trial.
Here we go.
This is the defendant lobby, all right. But there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if...
Something's been happening behind the scenes. Oh, you.
Yeah, again, I can never tell with him. Edgeworth!
I know.
Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 7777777 ID number that is? Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding the ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True? Not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, right? And Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it! I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, right? This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gannett has on her, it's now. The music's overpowering our voices. Right, hold on. Turn the game down a little. Okay. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gann? Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, OG, been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. What's this all about, defendant?
I'd just like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished.
Well then, what's your request?
Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial.
Huh?
I confess to all charges against me. On February 22nd of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office.
No! What, huh?
Objection!
Objection! You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea.
In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services.
But Lana!
Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please.
Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening! It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... Objection! One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you. Why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes, excuse me. Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh? To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony.
Hold it! Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue...
I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation.
My name is Emma Skye. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator.
2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct?
Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. In an incident that was resolved 2 years ago, really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. You sure gave in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial.
I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. But I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
It's a good thing you weren't harmed.
I passed out. I don't remember much.
That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence.
Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination.
Press on the fourth statement.
Okie dokie. Hold it. Can you tell us about that?
Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out.
The lights?
It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on, lightning struck nearby.
So the electricity went out.
Wait a minute.
If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right?
Right, just the lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
I see.
I told the detective about what I saw then.
The detective?
Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case.
Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim.
Hear more.
So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago?
Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial.
And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw?
Yes, but at the time, the works just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture.
Picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before.
Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough?
Ask about the picture.
This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. Objection. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture.
Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. Present the evidence list.
Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence?
What?
Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as much as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold!
This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident?
Please turn it over, Your Honor.
Turn it over?
Turn it...
Oh! What's this?
Yes, what is that? You mean to tell me no one ever noticed that?
Yeah, I know. Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew.
Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here.
Objection! What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list.
Huh? These lists, they're different from each other.
What?
It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What?
Order! Order! But Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor.
Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor!
Are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head.
If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth.
It's possible. Let's see.
Is something wrong?
Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list.
It's that thing! That's... that thing! That thing that dancing in the evidence room.
Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper.
Do.
Very well. Witness, will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago?
Huh? Yes, sir, Your Honor.
What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture.
This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind.
Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder Prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Present Neil's autopsy report on the very last statement.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction.
What? But I still remember just like it was yesterday.
Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report?
The tip of the knife, held by its wielder.
The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see the tip is broken.
Even I don't have to look closer to see that, Mr. Wright.
But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
It was the conclusive piece of evidence that was proved Joe Dark was the murderer.
I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma.
Objection! And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem?
It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken.
Ugh.
Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
That's right, but what does this mean?
Objection! The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly.
There's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No. Ugh! Order! 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 Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place on the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie.
Not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife.
If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives? Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's? Could there have been one?
Yes.
If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error.
Mr. Wright.
In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife? If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon.
The Team Gant picture.
The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. This is a picture of the awards ceremony. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding.
That's a broken knife.
As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award. Order! 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 Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be! Oh, why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, the man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh! Oh! But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions.
Hold it! Wait! I remember now! I remember everything!
Witness?
Mr. Edgeworth,
What is it?
could you show me your evidence list again, please?
His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back?
I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it.
What? You drew that?
That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me.
Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye?
Yes, Your Honor.
First the knife mix-up and now the blue badger? This should be interesting.
When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then, there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
This is certainly most unusual.
Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. Fucking typos. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Yes, well, the defense may now begin its
Hold it! Stop, please! Don't pursue this any further!
If someone interrupts me again, I will hit them with my gavel.
Lana!
What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair.
But you can't do this! I've already confessed to the crime! Why can't you just leave it at that?
Chief Prosecutor Skye. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back.
Silence! The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant.
It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter.
Press on the very last statement.
His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face with its winning smile and all?
That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns.
This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation. If so, then by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger really?
I just might know.
The blue badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on the fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room.
Mr. Wright?
In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us this mysterious blue badger look-alike.
The unstable jar.
Yeah, seriously, who designed that thing?
I know.
The mysterious blue badger was in fact this.
But that's... what exactly is that?
I believe it's some sort of jar.
But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger.
Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint?
Our viewpoint?
I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from.
Okay. So... The bottom of the jar, the small side, has to become the top ball on the badger's head. The 2 handles go on either side of it. The top hole on the bigger end should be pointing towards you and downward. I'll show you a picture of what it should look like.
Like that?
Nope. Make sure it's blood side up. Here's what it should look like. Here you go.
What? You send it on Discord?
Yeah.
Alright, got you.
Move it to a little bit to the left.
Yeah. This isn't right. I've got to make it look more like the badger.
You gotta move it up a little bit. Don't worry, you won't get penalized for it. We're gonna be here a while because it's very, very picky.
Yeah, and this was not designed to be played with a controller. Like this?
Yeah.
For God's sake.
God. We're so close. Move it up a little. Ah.
I seem to remember hating this bit in the original DS version.
Oh, you're not the only one. Everyone hated this bit. Move it up a little bit. Move a teeny bit more. There you go. Come on!
Gonna be here a while, folks. Got it. Thank God.
There we go.
Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger. Now, can we please move on so I can stop hearing this music?
I know it's torture!
No, it can't be! Order! Order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Objection. Although we enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar? That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed? Very well then, please tell us. What's different now that we know this witness saw this jar?
The location!
Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At that very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on the shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and that it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instance, the jar hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying?
That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall?
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit?
The suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword.
Yes. And since the man who was knocked in the armor was carrying a broken knife, it would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy.
No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking.
Yes. There is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room.
Another possibility?
Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless... I don't know if I can go through with this.
Mr. Wright, what's the matter?
If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Hold on, give me a second, folks.
You alright?
Yeah, just something on Task Manager. Give me a second. Yeah, OBS is acting a little funny, so I'm changing the priority on Task Manager. There we go.
Okay.
Jesus.
Now that is a horrible way to die.
No kidding.
Fucking hell. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No!
I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented.
Objection! What are you saying?
I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances...
Joe Jark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her?
Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it?
I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe in your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall?
Evidence?
I'm willing to bet you don't.
Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence.
If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony.
I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead.
We certainly can't get dead people to testify. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touché, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility?
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
I mean the possibility that the victim left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. In one manner or another.
That's That's impossible.
Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist?
To think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind
Is in the evidence.
This message from the deceased is already in our possession.
Mr. Wright? Will you stop at nothing to prove my sister as a murderer?
Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek: the truth. No matter how painful it may be.
Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased.
The jar.
This is the message left by the deceased.
This is that blue badger from before, right?
Oh, was he going to just speak the killer's name?
If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here on the surface of this jar.
What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar.
It looks like someone wiped the blood away.
Yes, but notice. For some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away.
Yes, there's a line here, drawn in blood.
So what you're saying is these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. The blood must have seeped into the jar where the line changed directions. Precisely so. All we need is to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent.
No.
Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. I've got to connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written given the circumstances. His murderer's name.
Emma.
I used to love playing Connect the Dots when I was a kid.
Same.
Check
That's
that
it.
one's. Yeah, I'm just checking that one's okay. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind.
Of all people. She may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life
Was Emma Skye.
See, Worthy? Can't say I didn't warn you.
Chief Gant,
Do you understand the implications of what you've done?
what are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not?
Yes, Worthy.
Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. What?
We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office?
They might have sent an innocent man to his death.
How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order! 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 The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. Well, we got through that quicker than I thought. I think we can keep going.
Yep, we're gonna keep going.
Yes, save the game, Worthy. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe! What is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run around while on duty. And to top it all off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again? Let me tell you this. This is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give you this if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department.
Isn't that right, Mr. Wright?
It seems so.
You could at least study some evidence law, really.
The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. Him? I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read.
Thank you.
Oh.
Huh?
Oh, OBS is acting funny again. It keeps
Wonderful.
doing that. It keeps doing that. May have to restart it.
All right.
Anyway, all that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me. Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all ruined with this forced evidence you were unaware of. Must Guy find out she was unwittingly caused a man's death? And now you're telling me you want to do more? You gotta be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor? The inquiry committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness, but, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses? I didn't say that! It's just, you see, everyone has been talking, and, Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. But there's no precedent for what you're proposing! Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The, defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright. You do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls...
Damon Gant.
The time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this? Some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, eh? But please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant, Acting Chief of Police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto. What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you're very brave, or very foolish. You're aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Sure, take my testimony for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well. The witness may now begin his testimony. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery.
Really?
Is that when Dark was arrested? Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast.
Yeah, forgery, huh? Well, because we've got something for you. How do you explain the jar?
You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery. But I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up.
Explain yourself.
Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example.
That's the blue badger you showed us earlier.
A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier was actually found inside your desk.
It was found where?
You see, Chief Gant, those articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation.
Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this?
Oh, you're a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery.
Who, me?
Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that?
Well,
you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. But what? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work!
Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence you found in your office, and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene.
My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together.
Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list?
For all I know, you could have planted them in my office.
Anyway, you can't prove when these pieces of evidence were discovered.
If they were found after Drake was convicted, then they're worthless. And there's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way.
You sure about that?
Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor?
When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol.
You do understand that I'm the chief of police, right? There will be consequences.
Oh.
Indeed, I believe I will press charges so you won't make the same mistake again.
My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know.
All right, Udgy. In return, though.
I know. That place, right?
Huh? What are these guys telepathic?
Yeah, rearranging, huh? Can you elaborate more on that, please?
Really, Chief Gant. At the very least, there's one very large benefit you reap from all of this.
Oh?
I wasn't aware.
What is this benefit?
That would be, of course, the position you have, Chief of Police.
Oh?
The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That is in itself is sufficient motive.
Oh, that's a good one.
Huh?
Do you really think I'm that incompetent?
What do you mean?
Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief.
The resolution of the SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth?
Yes. He was going to be made chief anyway.
Ah! Careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at.
So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery.
If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else.
Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that.
There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now.
Udgy, would you mind if I changed my testimony a little?
By all means, please do.
Press.
Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Oh, that's a good one, Worthy. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out?
Point out an accomplice.
True, you might not help out anyone for their sake. But if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone.
Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand.
That's not what I mean.
Very well then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence?
Lana.
Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye? The defendant?
I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would have had a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit.
Self-profit? What do you mean?
After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed Chief Prosecutor at the Prosecutor's Office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant.
But how would he profit from all of this?
He would be able to use the Chief Prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations.
Do you mean to tell me that despite the Chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh, wait! You must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind.
Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive, to appoint her as Chief Prosecutor so you could control her.
Righto, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something.
What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana? She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant.
I'm afraid without any proof, this amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture.
Unless that is also what happened in the incident.
This incident? Which one would that be?
Of course, I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The Chief Prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her.
Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean?
What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement.
What? Order! 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 I said order! Mr. Wright, you can't be serious.
Huh?
This is an affront to the highest-ranking officer in the law enforcement agency. To accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder? Impossible!
Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier-to-understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. It looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this.
Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder?
question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. I see. Alright then. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us the evidence that ties the Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman.
The ID card record.
This is the ID card list. Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on that day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 777777. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that my ID card number. It's your number. What? How did you know that? The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. 7 digits? You don't mean... I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 77777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. Order! Order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The defense's search of my office in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, so you admit it. You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I'm chief of police, whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom. What's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days, Chief Gant. I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime.
Goodman's lost item report.
Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the Chief of Police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on, let me guess what you're going to say next. I, Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly. But wait! The Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. Chief Gant! You didn't!
The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal.
Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you, take this here dead body over here to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so.
Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space.
How could the chief have moved his body? Mr. Wright, show us the evidence.
To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this.
The screwdriver.
This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body.
With that? A screwdriver? But what does that have to do with this case?
Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here?
It's here because...
I was asked to go, by Chief Gant no less. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office.
In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here.
After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to.
You mean
The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car.
Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car.
Yes, unless of course you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye.
Order! 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 What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations?
To think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. There was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite.
It's a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please say something. I believe...
Your time's up.
My time's up?
Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're going to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet! Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now.
What? This is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
So you're just going to run away after all of this?
Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy.
I stabbed old Goodman? That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, you think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show us your proof and get it over with.
I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusation against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright?
Your Honor?
Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of the body.
Do I have any concrete proof?
No, we don't.
It's no use. Showing evidence that I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence.
See, Udgy? In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the Chief.
What?
Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, righto. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Udgy, I'll leave the rest to you. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to the senior office of our nation's law enforcement agency.
Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her.
Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean?
There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth. Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method is proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else. One more witness who can answer all the questions. Questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room.
Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person?
Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today.
Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist?
She may not be willing to tell the truth. But we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls forth...
Lana.
The defendant? Miss Lana Skye?
She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task? To dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders.
Mr. Edgeworth?
The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor.
Very well, the court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in
Hold on.
Huh? Oh, hold on! Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Listen good, Lana.
He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claim, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. Oh, this isn't good. Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then. I've got a lunch date to meet. Yeah, piss off, you fucking leprechaun.
Okay, if there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess.
Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth.
That chief, he's something else, eh, pals?
Detective Gumshoe! I'm not a detective anymore. Oh yeah, sorry about that.
Don't worry. I've already decided where to work now. At your office.
My office?
Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with.
Could he mean... Maya?
Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand?
It's not fair. It's not fair he has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said.
But Chief, that is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true.
You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too?
Emma! Are you okay?
Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery.
So she heard everything that's been going on. No, Jarl, this takes place just after the end of the first game.
Yeah, this takes place after Turnabout Goodbyes.
Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before.
No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved.
Relieved?
Yeah, now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all just to protect me.
Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside, to force herself to do anything and everything the Chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold.
It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall.
Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal.
Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery. But he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor.
I see. Well, we'd better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait here?
No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth.
Let's go, right. It's time to end this.
This is it. We're literally in the final part of the trial.
Yeah,
and it's very short.
Let's do it.
Trust me, it's very short and quick.
Also, yes, I'm aware I called Chief Gant a leprechaun, but like I said in my Mafia 3 stream, I'm like 90% Irish, so I can get away with it.
Besides, aren't all cops Irish anyway?
Well, it's a stereotype for sure, but it did ring true back in like the early 20th century.
Yep.
Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you.
But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years.
Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth.
Of course. The truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister.
Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant.
I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to his blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma.
Are you sure about this testimony?
Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana!
If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this.
That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me.
But what if she's telling the truth?
She's not. I know my own sister.
Stop doing that! Seriously, that is so creepy.
Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony.
Yeah, this is no time for second-guessing myself. I'm gonna guess sometimes these blue texts is actually him whispering, not thinking.
Yeah.
The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Can you tell us more about the rearranging of the crime scene, Lana?
You say you did this all by yourself?
Yes.
Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene?
It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body.
What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident.
That's only a situation you dream was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement.
You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark?
Something like that.
If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife.
Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle.
That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies.
All just to protect me.
So when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to.
Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. Hold it!
You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound? And then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that?
You, of all people, should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders.
My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others.
Why did you move the body?
When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body?
It was where you deducted it was, by Chief Gant's desk.
But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there?
The reason for that is simple.
Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Sky moved the body.
The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Really? Present the jar itself!
Miss Sky, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I'm compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony.
A contradiction in my testimony?
You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan."
That's right.
Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood.
Yes, the prosecutor must have written in his final moments.
Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Order! Order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regards to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor. It seems you're in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed.
What?
Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony.
I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. But it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered.
You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood?
I wasn't Chief Prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence.
Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Present the jar in the fourth statement.
How about the fragments?
Yeah.
Miss Skye, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of.
What?
We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe.
In the chief's safe? But how?
I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up at the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Can you believe that? Objection. Shut the fuck up. Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that. There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying that this person was Chief Gant at the time he was looking for dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he... I swear to God. The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? No. Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Damon Gant arrived at the scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the Chief's puppet. Ooh!
I did it on my own.
Oh, she bit through her thumb there.
I know. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients.
Foul lies? And
Imagine that coming from my own client.
I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth.
Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap?
Is something wrong, Mr. Wright?
Lana may be right after all.
What do you mean, Wright?
So, do you tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright?
Miss Skye, please testify once more.
But...
If evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie.
But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall.
Miss Skye, if you will...
I can't.
There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth.
Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw.
All right, the witness may testify once more for the final time.
When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent.
Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the arbor's sword?
You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof.
Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning.
What? To me?
It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed.
But I don't remember receiving a picture like that.
Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture.
I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana.
Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right?
I seem to remember getting something from her then.
Let's show that evidence right again. There must be a picture in there somewhere, the evidence book. Check it out. The back cover. Aha!
Hey, there's a picture here.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my! This, the actual crime scene! No other detective saw the crime scene like this. Because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Oh. Mr. Wright! That piece cut out from his vest. Could that be?
The cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe. What's this?
This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth. It had fingerprints on it. Whoever's fingerprints those are must be the real murderer.
What? But those fingerprints... They're yours, Emma!
Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright?
Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer.
Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Let's see. Can't?
Come now, Uji. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant! What? Now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you. But I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't. But someone does. Someone? So, what's your excuse, Raito? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Is this true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, do you have any more evidence? Present it now, and if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall?
No.
Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie! Chief Gant? You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about.
Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together.
Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? You mean you, the chief of police, have been concealing evidence? This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Raito. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana.
So you really were manipulating her.
I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay on her sister, that's when she saw the scene. She would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Sky. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. And when I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? What do you take me for? A fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hit the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar too? Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Raito. Cough it up already. I know you have it.
What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright?
So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth that cut off the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do all that being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Raito. You should have shown it before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine.
Show it.
Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall.
Piece of cloth.
Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes, at last you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that to be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather. There must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean it could not have been forged? It must be authentic, conclusive evidence.
No need. We know who it is.
You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Raito had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that?
Mr. Wright, do you really know?
Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Sorry, Emma.
Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is...
Emma.
Emma? Emma Skye?
What? They're mine?
I'm sorry, Emma.
But why? Why didn't you tell me?
Ho 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 ho! You're really something, Raito. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
Hold it! How could you? You monster!
Miss Skye?
You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't.
Miss Skye, it's not over yet.
What?
I said this trial isn't over yet. But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career, too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that?
Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall?
What?
Chief Gant, are you absolutely right? This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is? Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
It was Emma Skye, wasn't it?
I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about?
I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is.
Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth? What could it possibly contradict?
Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth.
Present Lana's picture.
And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out?
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though.
Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, but that piece of cloth? Wait, there's no blood on it! Ah!
Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on the cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time.
No, this is nonsense!
Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Skye and picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for his prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue and make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Through this very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. It's finally all over.
That was close, Raito. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations?
You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence.
Order! Order! What nonsense is this?
Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Uji? Earlier old Raito here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Raito? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
Well, that's true.
The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence.
It's not fair!
Ho 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 ho! Did you actually think you could best me in court? Looks like the last laugh's on you, son.
I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth?
True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal.
Well, Mr. Wright?
It seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived.
Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposefully and illegally concealed this piece of cloth?
No. I did not.
I admit I refused to present it at one point.
Ha! So the evidence is illegal. Objection. Shut the fuck up. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Ajit, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe. Shut up! There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now.
The evidence law book.
This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book, the second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have the approval from the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall when that picture was presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest? Oh, yes! No! It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the Chief of Police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer, and there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant! The killer was you!
It's you bitch!
I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department, trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There's too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker as he was taking the evidence out. He said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall. Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how could you get Miss Skye involved in all of this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out, so you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have time to pick and choose what to take. So you left the jar fragments and the glove. Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. And they did their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me. We're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Udgy? What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be, long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Udgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Raito here, and Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious... Human does that.
Melodious of the new beginning.
There are two things I want you to understand.
Yes?
First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Skye, you no longer have any reason to keep silent.
You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today.
So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Skye. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble.
My. What high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright.
Miss Skye.
And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you.
It was nothing. Liar.
I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Right to victory. You done well, Mr. Edgeworth.
Stop it! I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Skye.
Yes, Your Honor?
You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains.
Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Tell me about it. Why do you think we skipped it in our first run of these games?
I know.
Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, guilty as fuck. I mean, not guilty.
Yay!
That is all. This court is adjourned.
Thank God.
At long last. It's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit.
No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended, I can see why me of Faith thought so highly of you. I yield my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You suffered every bit as much as I have ever have these past few days. You've done so well. You know, I did my best too. But Lana didn't say a single word to me.
Hey, hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals.
You pick your moments.
Yes, he does. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? Why am I getting deja vu?
I know.
You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding.
Oh, are you here because of my sister again?
Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal.
Me?
That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone.
Lana!
Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't.
Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago. Was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis. I asked Scan to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake. But now, I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself. But I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma.
No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find a way back to our rightful path. And it's from there that we can move on towards a brighter future. At least that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up.
Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe,
Me?
thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth?
Edgeworth?
Stop hiding and come over here.
Where was he hiding? I just came to say, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth.
Right, well, I'll be going now.
Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you.
It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes.
Mr. Edgeworth?
Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor.
Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright?
Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz?
Come on, Mr. Wright. Show what Lana's talking about.
Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find out on our own?
The evidence list. That's the picture I drew.
Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture.
That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth.
It's time for me to go.
Mr. Edgeworth.
If you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor.
Edgeworth, what will you do now?
Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell.
I better be going too. Okay, I'll be back in a minute soon. Seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, there's a little something for you. Scientific investigation. It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will.
And so another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself.
Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, Detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the Chief Prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this.
But...
I thought you said it was okay.
Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story.
Huh?
Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either.
Huh?
Pretty good, Detective.
Yeah, well. You see, Mr. Wright here is the one who'll be footing the bill.
Huh? What?
What, you think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? 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 Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream? Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together?
Yeah, it's a great idea. What?
Apparently you're breaking up.
Yeah, it's a great idea. How's it now?
Still glitchy?
Hello?
No, you sound fine on my end, but according to them, you sound glitchy.
How about now?
Hold on. Bear with us, folks.
Timing!
Give me a second, folks. All right, say something.
Hello?
There we go. Anyway,
Come on, guys, let's go!
Objection!
I hope she'll be pleased to study under the top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I managed to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma.
Yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalized you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show you can't shake me off that easily.
My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on my entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm gonna make detective. Yes, sir! Then I can be just like Dick Gumshoe!
You keep doing you, Meekins. We couldn't have done without you, little guy.
Nope. What is it? Can't you see him having a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Starr managed to sneak this in for me. She's seen one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, it looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. And sure to make sure Billy and the gang get their water.
Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu, the right way lunch. The top layer tasted bitter defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Can't seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time. Just make sure not to eat backwards.
Ben Judd, who also did the voice of Phoenix for the first 3 games.
Yep.
Brandon Gee! I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing something or other for, how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get, so I'd better be... Huh? Oh no, I forgot my gavel! Sorry, I gotta go.
That's right, god damn it!
That's right, god damn it!
It's right! Phoenix, right!
Where's Eric Vale when you need him?
I know. Yeah, it's here. It's right! Phoenix, right!
Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon train's about to begin. Coming! Well, see you around, Nick.
Mr. Edgeworth, Mr. Edgeworth, I brought you your tea. What's going on?
Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. Let's open it.
Oh, when she first became a cop.
Yeah.
It's totally LAPD uniform.
I know, right?
Give me a break. I know a Japanese police uniform when I see one.
We did it!
Clear all of the Oh, I got an achievement. Clear all of the Ace Attorney trilogy, because we didn't do this on our original run.
Yeah. And we did it!
And with that, the entirety of the original trilogy is complete.
Yep.
Oh, man. Honestly, though, I remember that case being a lot longer. Maybe it's just because the first time I played it, I made a lot of mistakes.
Maybe.
Yeah, 6 parts. I'm surprised, actually. I didn't think we were going to finish it tonight.
Yeah, same.
Oh well, we did, so we need to change the title of this stream to Finale later.
Yep. And with the official confirmation of Apollo Justice Ace Attorney in the early 2024, we've got a lot to look forward to.
Yes, this isn't the end of us streaming Ace Attorney. We will get to the next trilogy when it comes out, and possibly the Great Ace Attorney down the line.
Yeah.
So, anything to say before we step off?
Nope.
Well, stay tuned, and I'll say this about the next game covering taking Ace Attorney's slot. The theme of detectives is still going to be in mind. So, until then, stay tuned for more Mafia 3 next week, and see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.